Hey folks, it's Matt. I teach software engineering professionally, and one of the things I teach is JSON Web Tokens. Now, my students often have a hard time grasping what a JWT or JSON Web Token is uh, until I share this helpful metaphor with them, and that's what I want to share with you today. Now, one of the things I get to do in my communities is I get to travel and speak at various programming conferences. And when I do that, I usually will show up at the hotel and I'll walk up to the front desk and they'll say, "Hey, what can I do for you?" And I was like, "Well, I'm Matt Eland. I'm here for the conference. The conference is paying for my hotel. Thank you, conferences, by the way, for paying for hotels. It's appreciated." And they say, "Okay, great. Well, I'm going to need to see a couple things." And so usually they'll need to see, my identification, so I get to prove who I am. And then I'll probably give them a credit card to bill incidentals to in case I trash the room, as commonly happens with me in my late night coding. Uh, but once they verify that I am who I say I am, they will usually issue me a key card of some form. So this is from the Kalahari Sandusky, which actually doesn't even use key cards anymore. But they'll usually just issue me a key card, and I'll keep that around, and that is something I'll have on my person while I'm staying in that area. Okay. Now, JWT authentication actually works in a remarkably similar way. With JWT authentication, we are making a request out to a server saying, "Hey, here's my username and password, or my username and sign-in token, or whatever it might be." Some way of authenticating myself. I am who I say that I am. I'm proving it with my credentials. And it says, yep, okay, that checks out. That's the password I have, or the hash for your password that I have for you. So yeah, here you go. Here's your token. Gives me a JWT. Okay. Now with this JWT, on subsequent requests to the server, I'm no longer including my username and password. I'm now just including the JWT. Just like when I check into the hotel, I go up to the front desk, I show them my identification, I tell them who I am and what I'm there for, and I am then, authenticated. They know who I am, and they give me this token. Okay, very similar to a JWT. And I can walk all around the hotel, and I now have access to the fitness center. I have access to the pool, and I have access to my particular hotel room. Now, I don't have access to any other hotel rooms, just mine. So this JWT, this token, is only authorized for my own hotel room. And in fact, it's only authorized during the duration of my stay. So from check-in time to check-out time. If I was to drive up to Sandusky and try to use this to get into a hotel room, I'm going to have a bad time because this token is expired. In the same way, when I am communicating with the server and the server gives me a JWT, I am including that token as a bearer token typically. So it's in the header of any message that comes up as authorization with a bearer and then the value of the token. And the server says, "Oh, this is a token that I know that I've signed. I know I can trust whatever's on it. It says that this expires next Tuesday. Okay, sure. I believe what you say on this. I'm going to let you into your hotel room. I'm not going to let you into your neighbor's hotel room, and I'm not going to let you into the hotel room a month later. But during the time that the JWT is valid, I'm going to let you in there." So that's sort of the idea of a JWT. It's a way of sort of signing access to something. The server knows that it can trust what's in there. So let's take a look at what one actually looks like. So here I am in jwt.io. That's actually the URL I see up here. But this is showing me a sample JWT, JSON Web Token. And there's actually three different parts of this. We have the header, we have the payload, and we have the signature. And we can see this looks secure and encrypted, but it's really not. Right? This is just a signature that we have here. We can see this is using this particular algorithm for hashing, and it's got some data in here. So here it's got the subject, which is usually a user ID of some form or another, maybe the name of the user, and then here this is the issued at IAT. You'll often have things like NBF, not valid before, and then EXP, expires at. So this is the data that's contained in the JWT, and the server has this verify signature here that is generated using the server's private key and the rest of the message. So the server takes a look at this stuff up here, and it says, "Hey, using this algorithm and this payload, I'm gonna combine that with my secret key, and I'm gonna generate this string right here from it." So if I ever change my subject to be something completely different, well, this hash is actually not gonna matter, not gonna match anymore. It's not going to be the right hash for this piece of data, and so the server is not going to know not to respect it. So that's sort of the idea of a JSON Web Token, right? Um, we authenticate once by saying, hey, here's my username and password or my security token or whatever it might be. The server gets us back a JWT, and now we can use this JWT on any subsequent request to get access to wherever we should be able to get access to. Right? If I'm just a user, I shouldn't have access to admin features, even though it knows who I am. That's what we call authorization. I'm only authorized to do the things I'm allowed to do. Um, but I am allowed to do the things that I'm allowed to do until my token expires, in which case I need to log in again. So if you'll notice that some sites make you log in every 2 weeks or every 1 week or every day or something like that, that's usually what it is. The JWT has expired. Okay. Um, Before we close, let's talk about anonymous access. So let's say that I am driving 7 hours to get to a hotel, as has happened recently for a different conference. I get there and I'm really hungry and I really need to use the bathroom. And so I get out of my car, I go to the restroom, and then I go to the hotel restaurant and I have a nice sandwich. And after that, then I go and I check in at the front desk. Now, the hotel has no idea who I am, but they are allowing me to roam around in public areas. To them, I am anonymous. They don't know who I am, at least until I pay for my dinner. Uh, but I'm an anonymous user. I'm allowed to just interact with the public areas. Much in the same way, a website, we can interact with the public areas, such as the home page, the about page, the contact us page, something like that, even the sign in page and the register pages. Those are fine typically for a normal user to use when they haven't logged in yet. So these JWTs, these tokens, are really only valid or useful for when you're trying to get into restricted areas, such as you want to be able to see some specific customer piece of data, or you want to be able to submit a ticket, or something else that requires you to be authenticated. In the same way, the hotel uses these key cards to restrict my access to certain areas to make sure I'm a paying guest that is currently a paying guest, and to make sure I'm not trying to get into somebody else's room or some off limits area or something like that. So that's a JWT or JSON Web Token. I hope this metaphor helps you. It really helps me understand it. I know it helps my students. And I find that the keycard metaphor actually holds up pretty well as far as JSON Web Tokens. Happy coding and enjoy what you learn.